You've undoubtedly heard the quote, "You never get a second chance to make a first impression." When it comes to delivering a speech, that quote is completely accurate. This short video will explain several different strategies you could use to gain the attention of your audience in your speech and create a positive and lasting first impression. There are several ways you can accomplish this. You could ask the audience a question. You could share a quote, relate a startling statistic, tell a story, or use humor. Let's talk about asking a question first. There are two types of questions you could ask your audience. The first type of question doesn't require an answer from the audience. So for example, if you were going to give a speech about the creation of the universe, you could start your speech by saying, "What is the meaning of life?" This question may get your audience to think about what you're going to talk about, and it will also prepare them to listen to what you have to say. The second type of question you could ask is a question that does require a response from the audience. So in this example, let's say you're giving a speech about binge watching. You could start off by saying, "How many of you watch the television show Game of Thrones?" You would take note of the audience response so you could use that information later on in your speech. Or you might have to ask a follow-up question. Maybe nobody in your audience likes that show. So you change it up a little bit and say, "Okay, how many of you like to watch The Walking Dead?" You could ask a question of the audience to get them interested in what you're going to say. However, you could also share a quote with the audience. For example, if you were giving a speech about mentoring, you could open your speech by saying, "Jackie Robinson once said, 'A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives.'" When sharing a quote with the audience, it's always a good idea to include the person who actually said the words. In this case, it was the baseball player Jackie Robinson. In addition to using a quote to get your audience's attention, you could also share a shocking or startling statistic. In this example, let's say you're giving a speech about the use of social media. You could share this startling statistic. According to Jay Baer, a writer from the website Convince and Convert, 23% of Facebook users check their account 5 times or more each day. When using a statistic, like I just did, it's important to remember that you have to provide an explanation of that statistic. So in that example, to explain the statistic, I might say, in a class of 15 students, that means at least 3 students check their Facebook account 5 or more times each day. Are you one of those students? I think I might be. Sharing a startling or shocking statistic isn't the only way you can get the attention of your audience. You could also tell a story or an anecdote. For instance, let's say you're going to talk about the importance of teamwork in difficult situations. You might want to share a story similar to this one. Picture it. Beersford, South Dakota, 1992. It was Halloween night, and the 11A regional football game was about to begin. Kickoff was a few seconds away, and it felt like any other football night in America. Except there were 10 inches of snow on the ground, and it was still falling fast. That story could directly tie into a speech about the importance of working as a team when faced with a difficult situation. Finally, the last strategy you could use to gain the attention of your audience is telling a joke or using humor. When using this strategy, you need to keep a couple of things in mind. Your joke has to be appropriate, but more importantly, it has to be relevant to your speech. You can't just tell a joke for the sake of telling a joke. So let's say you were giving a speech about the importance of eating breakfast. You might want to share a joke like this. There were 2 muffins in an oven. One muffin said, "Man, it's hot in here." The other muffin said, "Ah, a talking muffin!" After the laughter or groans die down, you could easily relate your muffin joke to the importance of eating breakfast. So let's review. There are several different ways you could gain the attention of your audience. You could ask them a question. You could share a quote. You could share a startling statistic. You could tell a story, or you could use humor. Using any one of these strategies will help you create a positive and lasting first impression, and you would be well on your way to delivering a wonderful speech.